Hello everyone, Solmon here, and today I am joined by yet another of my associates in the TTEC Community Radio Organization Corp Mega Industrial Complex, Taj Mahal. Say hi, Taj.
Hi, Taj. Well, that's an original one, right?
Yes, you're definitely the first one to make that joke on this glorious show. So
I know,
yeah, guys.
I'm a plagiarist. What can you say? You know, us plagiarists need to stick together. You know, in the fandom. You know.
So yeah, guys. Sorry for not being on the show, not being on the channel for a month. You know, I was just not vibing mentally, but now I'm vibing again. And today, me and Taj Mahal are gonna talk about one of the most mysterious connections in Thomas the Tank Engine history. It's William Stanier's relationship with the global controller. Now, as we know from the book, so was it solo reading between the lines or solo it's people who railways in history?
I think it was from in between the lines. I think there was a little bit in both, though.
Okay.
So.
For all we know, it's from a book. Could be the Bible, but yeah. Yes.
It's on the wiki, that's what we know.
Yeah, it's on the wiki, that's for sure. But yes, the Fat Controller, in their younger days, when him and Stanier were still going to Swindon, apparently the Fat Controller saved him from a very embarrassing slip-up, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing that bothers me about that is that it's such a wide margin, like, what did he save him from?
Yeah, was it like he saved his life or something? Like he was doing something wrong and some heavy equipment could have fallen on him or something? Or was it just I forgot to file my tax returns, you know?
Could you imagine? You know what would be great? Imagine if the Fat Controller actually was the one who designed most of Stanier's designs. And he was just okay, just switch out the names and say you did this homework.
It's like Shakespeare, Shakespeare wasn't a real person, supposedly. And there's just a bunch of other writers who are collaborating, coming up with these plays. So that makes Sir Topham Hatt, I guess, the writer of Shakespeare.
His ghostwriter.
I don't know.
Yeah, Stanier's ghostwriter.
Ghostwriter.
Yeah. You know what I personally believe to have happened?
Oh, what do you think?
So, from what I've heard, right, over the years, is that Stanier, while in his later life and during his working life at the LMS, he was seen as a calm man with, proper Victorian mannerisms, right? An honourable gentleman, right? Mm-hmm. However, in his youth, he was a complete degenerate, right? Constantly getting into fights, just not a very ideal. He wasn't on the honor roll at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and what if this was a school fight gone wrong, right? Because you have to remember, William Stanier and the Fat Controller went to school, I believe, during either the late 19th century or the early 20th century, right? And
I believe Sir Topham Hatt started working in the 1890s or something like that.
Yeah, and duels, proper duels with guns and swords was still a thing back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine if Stanier just straight up murdered somebody during a duel and Sir Topham Hatt just covered it up?
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
That is, that we could make a fan film about that, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
A period piece or something.
Yeah, a lot of great men in history always just killed somebody during a duel, Bismarck fatally injured someone during a duel when he was still, studying to become a lawyer. Winston Churchill, when he was Hold on, what's the word? I forgot the word in English. What's that word where they put... What's that place when parents drop off their kids, but like it's not an orphanage.
It's not an orphanage. It's like daycare, right?
No, not a daycare. Like for teenagers. And
wait a minute. I think I know what you're talking. It's not an orphanage. It's like dear. Well, post in the comments if you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I'm blanking right here.
Yeah.
Let me think. Yeah.
I think it was some sort of school. Yeah. Like Churchill. Like here's the thing. The thing about Churchill, like that, he just was a complete wacko when he was a kid. I mean, he still grew up to be a wacko, but you know. Like he once threw himself into a river, got in a coma for 5 weeks, then went back to school and did it again.
Oh.
And also he may or may not have killed a couple of kids during fights.
Oh dear, yeah. There's lots of really crazy stuff when you look into the history of history of just the world, I guess, and you're just like, what? They did that?
Yeah.
What? You know, and it's like and people just don't talk about it.
Yeah,
it's just the weirdest thing.
Whack. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, never mind the darkest hour. I want to see Churchill beat the crap out of a bunch of 12-year-olds.
It would be interesting if they got Gary Oldman to play him again in that, you know?
Oh, yes.
I don't know if that would be... Yeah.
But yes, that's my theory. That's my own take on that. So I think Stanier committed a crime or, murdered somebody or just wounded them really bad. And so Topham just covers it up for him. Because here's the thing.
Or maybe it was like... maybe it was like a one piece of... maybe it was a one piece at a time situation where, like, there's a Johnny Cash song called One Piece at a Time where he's working at this auto place.
Yes.
And he's taking out parts of the car, like, one piece at a time. So, like, at the end of, like a couple of years, he's going to have a fully functioning automobile at home.
Yeah, but then it's just
maybe he was doing this, but with, like, a steam locomotive.
What if Stanier is the one that built Henry by stealing parts from Swindon?
It's very possible.
Like, they just steal a bunch of parts from Swindon, and so Topham Hatt covers it up for him, right? And then when they put them together, Stanier is being searched for that, right? He's being, like, investigated, and though he's like, okay, just take Henry to your railway that you now have on the island of Sodor. If anything happens, call me up. And then Henry fucking crashes. And now Stanier sees it as his duty to repair him.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's actually a really good idea because we can now transition into Henry because let me say that Henry is, he's just a depressing character. At the beginning of his, like, life on Sodor is just really, like, really intense and depressing. I don't know any way else but to call it that. At the beginning, of course, it says that he was built by some unknown rival of Sir Nigel Gresley. It's possible.
Yeah, who is the biggest rival of Sir Nigel Gresley? That's right, William Stanier. Confirmed!
And of course, maybe that's it. Maybe he built Henry. Like I don't know. Once again, but maybe Sir Topham Hatt has covered up some things that Stanier's done, numerous things that Stanier's done. But yeah, anyway, he orders... The one thing that kind of throws a wrench into this theory is that he was intending to buy a Robinson Atlantic from the Great Central Railway.
Yeah.
But he was swindled. And instead he got this engine named Henry. So I don't know if he would have built it. I mean, it's possible, I guess, that somehow there could be a connection.
Yeah.
But anyway, from this moment on until pretty much the Flying Kipper incident, Sir Topham Hatt just is... I don't think he hates what happened to him. He hates that, like, he got, like, bested, and he thinks that Henry's a bad steamer. Yeah. So it's interesting kind of to look at all of the those early Railway Series stories, just knowing that maybe Sir Topham Hatt just really doesn't like this engine because of something that
And
really...
what if that's the reason there's literally nothing that happens between Stanier and, the Fat Controller up until the Flying Kipper crash? What if, we continue with the theory that he's the one who built Henry because he kept stealing parts from Swindon, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then just by building that engine, he gets in massive trouble, so he sends him to the Fat Controller to, send the cops on a goose chase, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I see what you're going.
And the Fat Controller, he gets this engine that was built with parts that are even older than probably him, right? and just he realizes, okay, Stanier screwed me over, and if the cops find me, I'm going to jail as well. So I have a crappy engine, I'm 40,000 pounds down the drain, and the cops are after me. Great. And what if, after hearing of the Flying Kipper crash, Stanier comes to Sodal and just like, yo, Toppy, bro, yo, I'm sorry, do you want some ice cream? And I can also rebuild Henry if you want.
Oh, yeah. And it's gets turned into a Black 5, really, then, or an adapted Black 5, I guess.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Here's
the thing. A lot of people say, "Oh, Henry was replaced," which I think is complete garbage because this is going with the revised Railway Series timeline where the Flying Kipper crash happens in the 30s, right? But here's the thing: during the Great Depression, here's the thing: steam engines are incredibly salvageable. Like, have you ever seen that picture of an engine that was shot multiple times by a German fighter in World War II?
Oh, yeah, I think I have. I don't think there's just one photo, but I've seen photos of that.
Yeah, apparently that engine it was completely destroyed, apparently. And then it just went on to serve 30 more years.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I know you're obsessed with ships and especially battleships, but it's kind of like that where, like, some ships just get beached and, like, dismantled and turned, like, their parts get moved over to the other ships and so on and so forth. I can kind of see there's a comparable aspect here.
Yes, we all remember. Yes, we all remember the Washington Treaty of 1927. Never forget.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. So yeah. I think, because here's the thing, Henry, like, why would Stanier rebuild Henry? Because the Fat Control is, buddies with practically all the workshops in Great Britain. And, like, if Henry is based on LNER designs or GNR designs, wouldn't it make more sense to have him be rebuilt at, a proper LNER or GNR workshop?
Yeah, I can see that. Maybe he's trying to cover the tracks where he's like, you know what? Henry got into this accident, and the person who built this engine back then, of course, being Stanier, was not an expert at that time. He was not an expert at constructing engines at that time. So now if I commission him to build this new, to rebuild Henry in the style of a Black 5, then it will kind of throw people off and be like, oh, there obviously can't be some connection here, between here. I guess to muddle the water.
Yeah, but guess what, Sir Topham Hatt? 70 years later, we finally found the truth. Too bad both of them are dead.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, things get a lot more corrupt when you realize that it was not only Topham who was very close to Stanier during this time. Of course, little Charles at the time, was an apprentice to him, like, during the same era, pretty much from, like, 32 through, like, 1937, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's during this exact same era of when Henry was getting rebuilt at Crewe.
Yeah. It seems to me that Stanier has very big debts towards the Fat Controller. And, you know, risking...
Or maybe...
risking toying around with one of the most powerful railways on the planet. Yeah, it doesn't seem like something anybody would do for you. Here's the thing, Taj. Would you go and would you help me steal a bunch of parts from? Hold on, what's a big railway in the U.S.?
Amtrak.
Come on, what are Amtrak going to do if we steal a bunch of parts? They barely have anything.
Yeah, Amtrak's not anything. You're right. They're not gonna even care. They'd actually pay me. They'd be like, "Thank you for stealing this locomotive. We don't know how to pay it off."
Yeah. So let's imagine we slowly keep stealing a bunch of diesel parts from the BNCF, right? And then after we build that engine for over like a period of 5 or 6 years, I just go, okay, can you keep it for me? Despite the fact the FBI is looking into this. You wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe, like, you know, the one thing that kind of throws me off then is that if Henry was, like, somehow, like, I guess, an illegal locomotive, if you could say that, or an illegitimate locomotive, if you could say.
He's an illegal locomotive. Throw him back to where he belongs, Ireland.
Yeah.
What were you doing with this? Exactly.
Yeah, I think the one thing that throws me off of this is that I think Sir Topham Hatt would have been a lot more willing to put Henry in that tunnel. Just to be like,
yes, exactly. That's the thing.
Maybe that's. There we go.
That's why he wanted him in the bloody tunnel. The police can't find him if he is just 6 feet below Earth.
Yeah, and I hear that, of course, after that made him function more poorly. Yeah. So I bet. Do you think
that's why he painted in blue right afterwards?
Oh yeah, perhaps. That's good. That's a good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's.
My first episode of this show was Who Built Henry. And me and Multi-Green Thunder, God rest his community radio soul, he's no longer with us.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
Our first episode was on this, and we agreed that he was built by, like, some illegal designers. And now it's completely been thrown out the window. I'm so sorry, Multi-Green Thunder, if you're watching this. I still love you. Taj is just my mistress. In theories.
Man, you know, I wish Multi was on, because then I totally would have just spontaneously invited him on right now, just to be like, oh, how do you respond to this? And he's like, you're ruining my theories.
we really need one... Okay, guys, quote me on this. One day I'm going to bring back Multi, right? I'm going to resuscitate him. And I'm going to bring on Taj, and we're going to have an epic Solmanic battle to try and decide who really built Henry.
But we're going to have a Thomas battle. We're going to have a Thomas
battle.
You better remember.
A Thomas, yes. And wow, a four-way Thomas the Tank Engine battle. Okay. I haven't been this excited for a fight ever since the 2006 final Piston Cup race.
Well, I don't know. I'd say the same thing there, unless you count maybe like Ted like tackling Rob when he was trying to get him to sign his white face.
Oh no, that was a war crime. No, that was a war crime. Nothing to get excited about.
Oh, okay. By the way, make sure to check out Ted's new show on the channel.
Solo Streets and Statues.
Yeah. To go on an aside, I wanted to state that we are recording this on August 3rd, which is, according to my schedule, approximately 2 months after all the new Blue Midwest Mysteries episodes are coming out. So, just so you know.
Yeah, by the way, guys, can we just talk about how these Blue Midwest episodes are just taking over our jobs.
Yeah, we should have a separate channel for that, like a streaming channel or something.
Yeah,
on
kick them
Pluto
back to the Blue Mountain Quarry where they belong. They're stealing my non-existent spotlight.
Yeah. But yeah, also, I guess since we're talking about community radio now, this whole discussion's making me want to there to be a character gallery episode on Henry. I think that'd be pretty fun, actually.
Yeah. What if hey, guys, don't tell this to Lemmy, but what if we beat the hell out of Matt? Here's the thing. Wait, we could definitely kidnap Lemmy and just take over the show. Problem is Matt, and Matt is massive, right? I think we need a forklift just to push him aside. So we can definitely form a plan to take over that particular show, so we can have our own epic game of moment.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Absolutely. Anyway, we should probably get back to Stanier.
Oh, yes,
Of course, Henry was not the only character that had some work done on him at Crew.
Yeah, there's also Gordon.
Stanier. Oh, absolutely. You want to talk about Gordon a little bit?
Oh, yes. I think Gordon being rebuilt at Crew is the ultimate screw you to Gresley by Stanier. Hey, look, you're First Pacific. Boom! Now it's mine.
Oh yeah, this was, by the way, after I believe this was after Charles was he was doing some stuff foreignly, I believe, overseas, foreignly. What the heck?
Foreignly, yes. I too enjoy doing foreignly things.
But yeah, it's interesting just to see just these connections, between Sir Topham Hatt and Sir William Stanier, just in kind of doing these weird projects, these experimental projects that really would not typically be in Stanier's wheelhouse, really.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because he did some domeless engines, of course, with the Black Fives and so on. But
yeah, that's why you can't respect them.
Yeah, that's interesting, actually. That's really interesting. Just to think about Gordon's opinions about about domeless engines, and then of course
train racism really is a thing.
Yeah, it really is.
Which, man, I just love the fact that the engine... Here's the thing. A lot of people say that the engines aren't capable of feeling love because of the whole shipping thing, right? However, everybody agrees, yes, the engines are most definitely racist.
Oh, yeah. Now it suddenly makes sense why that story was featured in Duck and the Diesel Engine. I guess a lot of those stories actually have a lot to do with some kind of intolerance, now that I think about it.
Yeah. I think...
I always wondered why that story... I always wondered why that story was at the beginning of this book about Duck and Diesel. But now that I think about it, it kind of does tie in thematically.
Yeah.
It kind of does.
Yeah, it really does tie in thematically. Look at me using big words.
It's better than foreignly,
No, you're inventing new words. That's the ultimate Chad move.
Yeah, I'm original, and I'm living on Mount Disappointment as well, of course.
Yes.
But yeah.
Well, sadly, we've reached the 25-minute mark, so it's time to say goodbye. All right, Taj, this was absolutely delicious to have you on. It was great. It was epic. Yeah, I cried. I was so overcame with emotion, passion, love. What are some other emotions? Yes, hatred. Come on, dude, I'm running out of emotions. What are some other emotions?
A dread.
Yes, dread. I remember fearing for my life for the entirety of this call because Sir Topham Hatt's ghost might just come back and haunt me.
Yeah, Sir Topham Hatt. He just is up to some really messed up stuff between the Stanier stuff and opening all the face factories. You know, it's just really, really weird stuff that he's getting up to. But yeah, hey, it was great.
Somebody has to do the dirty work, and that's where the Solmon Empire always shines. Take care, everyone. My name is, and will forever be Solmon, and I'll see you on the other side. Goodbye!